We present Derek Nimmo, Clement Freud, Peter Jones, and Andree Melly in just a minute. And as the minute waltz fades away, here to tell you about it is our chairman, Nicholas Parsons.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, and welcome to Just a Minute. And once again, I will ask 4 keen and regular competitors of our game to speak, if they can, for 60 seconds on some unlikely subject without hesitation, without repetition, and without deviating from the subject on the card. And we'll begin the show this week with Andree Melly. Andree, welcome back to that 4th chair. And the subject is concealing the body. And would you talk on that? 60 seconds, starting now.
Concealing the body is not something that people go in for much these days with streakers and all that. But I conceal my body most of the time, and that's because I'm always frozen. Even as a child, I used to wear leggings, knicker linings, knickers, vests, liberty bodies.
Derek Nimmo has challenged you.
Pair of knickers.
So what is the challenge?
Repetition. Knicker lining, knicker elastic or something, knicker something. There were two
He said knicker lining and knickers.
Quite
one is
different.
plural and the other one might be hyphenated. I don't know. It's sort of an old-fashioned thing. I'm not sure. So I disagree with your challenge. And Andree, you have a point for an incorrect challenge, so you keep the subject and you continue. There are 44 seconds left, concealing the body, starting now.
My grandmother, who would be about 110 if she were alive today, used to say, gentlemen's arrangements are not pretty. And I think that she really had a very good point there, because it's clothes that make people so sexy.
Derek Nimmo has challenged.
Deviation. It was her grandfather who had a very good point.
You've made a very good point, but you haven't made enough of a point to get a point. So Andree Melly keeps the subject, and there are 29 seconds on concealing the body. Andree, starting now.
Those dresses which go right up to the neck and down to your heels and then show a completely nude back. That's what I think's really attractive, don't you? And men's clothes today are so lovely.
Derek Nimmo has
Hesitation.
Yes.
Yes, I agree with the hesitation, Derek. So you have 17 seconds left. You gained a point for the right challenge. Concealing the body, starting now.
A deep freezer in Rillington Place will be an ideal place to conceal the body.
And Clement Freud got in first.
Repetition of place.
Yes, it was. And there are 11 seconds left, Clement. You've got a point. The subject, which is concealing the body, starting now.
The normal methods of concealing a body consist of shoes, socks, suspenders, pants, trousers, shirts.
Peter Jones has challenged.
You can't conceal a body with suspenders.
Absolutely. If you didn't
Conceal a portion of the body with suspenders, and I think that's...
No, because it's already concealed if you wear trousers.
short trousers.
But he put the suspenders...
You wouldn't wear suspenders with short trousers.
But
Well, I have little
Peter,
sartorial
he
taste,
did actually put
I
the
can
suspenders...
see that. But I want to get into a commanding lead, and I feel entitled to make this
as
protest.
chairman, I also have to try as far as possible...
But
to
is there
be fair
no
and
court of
accurate.
appeal? I mean, it's so monstrous that you're having people's whole careers depend on this sort of decision that you're making now.
I'm sorry if your whole
I don't
career's
want to appear an idiot, you know.
But he did. I was trying to say, Clement Freud put the suspenders on before the trousers, so even your further point would not be valid. You tried very hard, Peter, and we enjoyed it, but there are 2 seconds left with Clement Freud on concealing the body, starting now.
Concealing the body on the part...
At the end of the first round, Clement Freud, speaking when the whistle went, gained, of course, the extra point, and he has taken a very definite lead. Derek, would you take the next round? The subject is Taurus. Just a minute with you now, starting now.
Taurus the bull, a sign of the zodiac, coming from legend, of course, the great white bull that went after some old bird.
Clement Freud is challenged.
Repetition of that word.
Yes.
The bull.
Yes. And Clement, a correct challenge, a point to you, and there are 52 seconds now. Taurus, starting now.
This is an astrological sign about which I know a great deal because I happen to have been born on the 24th of April and am therefore a Taurian and would be very happy to receive birthday cards next year on the appropriate date. Taurus is from the 21st of April.
Peter Jones has challenged.
Repetition of April.
Yes, you were right, Peter. And 34 seconds on Taurus, starting now.
Taurus are what is wrong with London. There are far too many of them. all over the underground. You can't get into the museums or onto the buses, into the trains even. And on the pavements, they're rubbernecking their way past the Horse Guards Parade, Buckingham Palace, Trafalgar Square, Leicester...
Oh, dear. Andree, you challenge.
Well, I hesitate.
Yes, I'm afraid there was at the other square. Andree, you have 12 seconds now. The subject is Taurus, and you begin now.
The only Taurus I know is one of those very obnoxious, rather trendy children whose doting parents...
Clement Freud is challenged.
Deviation, she knows me.
A very good challenge. He's very quite clear he is a Taurus. So, Clement, I agree with your challenge. You have 6 seconds on the subject starting now.
Among other Taurians, Her Majesty...
Derek Nimmo has challenged.
Repetition of Tory.
Of course,
No,
Derek.
no,
And you
no.
have 4 seconds
No,
for
I
Taurus.
didn't say I said Taurian. I said it makes me a Taurian earlier. This time,
What
and
did you
I was
say?
going to... Among other Taurians. And I was going to mention...
Oh, it's a quibble.
Well, I got away
The
with
audience
liquor.
applause tells me without any doubt they agree with Derek's challenge, and he has 4 seconds. I'll have to put it to you if there's a disagreement.
Oh, just give it to her, you know.
Derek, 3 seconds. Taurus, starting now.
Europa was the bird that he was after, and when he turned himself back, and he was Zeus.
At the end of that round, Derek Nimmo spoke when the whistle went. He gained the extra point. He's equal with Andree Melly in second place, but Clement Freud is still in the lead. And Clement, your turn to begin. The subject, planning. Can you talk on that now? For just a minute, starting now.
If you're planning a Taurian, it is very important to start in about August, because otherwise you wouldn't have a hope in hell of achieving it. Now, a Taurian is born...
Peter Jones is challenged.
A repetition of Taurian.
What are you saying? Why is it not correct?
I used it in the plural the first time. This time...
Well, it makes life so difficult if you play it like that.
Yes.
And boring. Rather too much bull for me.
And bully for you, Peter. I didn't hear you. That's all I can say.
Commanding lead.
I didn't hear you say it last time, so I'm going to do the same with Peter as I did with Derek Nimmo. Give him the subject and say there are 46 seconds on planning, Peter, starting now.
Planning is an interesting thing if you're going on a holiday. Very important, really, though I do tend myself to act on the spur of the moment, not poring over maps and timetables and getting on the phone to travel agents, but rather packing my little suitcase and hobbling off down the street, getting onto a bus and going I know not where, perhaps with any luck to a railway station. What time is it? And then, when I'm there, I choose one of these marvelous long conveyances driven by diesel engines, clamber aboard, having purchased a ticket beforehand, and go to some seaside resort with any luck at all. It could be
Repetition of luck.
what did I say luck
We liked it so
before?
much. You're rotten, you spoiled it, Derek.
It's in the corner.
Anyway, I would thought that was the absolute antithesis of planning, actually, Peter, but we loved it.
Oh, yes,
Derek
it was,
Nimmo got
actually,
in with
yes.
1.5 seconds to go. He has a point. Ah, you rotten thing. 1.5 seconds, Derek, on planning, starting now.
I'm planning to help Peter James' career.
Peter Jones, it's your turn to begin. And the subject is making the whole thing worthwhile. You could probably say the same as you just said before in the last subject. But will you try and say something different and start now?
Making the whole thing worthwhile is having an effect, achieving something so that you feel at the end of it stimulated or possibly purged.
Derek Nimmo has challenged.
Hesitation.
Yes, I have to agree and tell you, Derek, that you have a point and 47 seconds on making the whole thing worthwhile starting now.
Making the whole thing worthwhile for me is helping Peter James' career. So I will now stop.
And Clement Freud challenge, so you have...
Well, he's beaten me.
Clement Freud, what is your challenge?
Hesitation.
And you're absolutely right. And you have a point. It's correct. And there are 40 seconds on making the whole thing worthwhile starting now.
For me, making the whole thing worthwhile is receiving the approbation of the audience when I talk for 60 seconds without hesitation, deviation, or repetition on subjects of pith and interest, moment and compulsion. I open my mouth and close it, teeth flash, my eyes shine, and the laughter of the good people in the Playhouse Theatre holds me riveted to my seat as I press my button with my right hand. My left foot shakes from one side to the other, and the floor capitulates while the audience cascade.
Derek Nimmo's done it again. What's the
The
challenge?
repetition of audience. The audience play has said it.
Derek Nimmo got in with
Some
4
of us
seconds
did.
to go. Yes, some of us. Making the whole thing worthwhile, Derek, starting now.
Making the whole thing worthwhile for me is to be able to come here tonight and look at the smiling faces.
Derek Nimmo was again speaking when the whistle went. He's increased his lead at the end of that round. Clement Freud in second place, Andree Melly and Peter Jones just in third. Andree, your turn to begin. The subject is how to get some. That's what Ian Messiter's thought of. We'd like you to talk on it if you can for 60 seconds starting now.
I've always found that the best way to get some, if it's in very short supply and other people want it too, is to be completely frank and open. Sooner or later, someone will respond and give you some. The other day, it was impossible.
Clement Freud is challenged.
Hesitation.
Yes, right, Clement. There are 38 seconds left, Clement. How to get some starting now?
I think one of the great things about this country in which we live is that now there is no one who should be unable to get some. If you're without it, if you're short, if you're taken, perhaps...
Derek Nimmo.
He was taken, hesitation.
Yes. Well, he'd taken. He had 4 ifs. Derek, there are 21 seconds on how to get some starting now.
Well, I'm determined to get some tonight, actually. As soon as I get out of this theatre, I'm going to be looking for it. My goodness, I'll be roaming up and down, wandering around. Down the street, I'll go along the Mall, through Leicester Square and Trafalgar Ditto, just to say, Peter Jones. And when I arrive, I'll see that great column thing at the end, with that distinguished admiral on the top.
Peter Jones, a challenge, sure.
Repetition.
Of what?
Well, you said ditto. I mean, that's the same as saying...
But he went down the Mall to Leicester Square, which is completely...
Well, that was devious, I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Derek Nimmo was helping you by saying that.
Was he?
And which he's been wanting to do all through
I
this
see,
session.
yes.
So you have 7 seconds, Peter, on how to get some, starting now.
Well, I am one of the people who happen to know how to get some, but I'm damned if I'm going to tell anybody here.
Clement Freud is challenged.
Did I?
Yes.
I think I just woke up.
Well, he was surprised
What did
you'd
he
gone
say?
to sleep.
I'm very sorry.
Well, he was saying it extremely well and the audience were enjoying it.
Oh, good.
Peter Jones, you have 2 seconds. No, 1 second left on how to get some, starting now.
Work at it.
Peter Jones was then speaking when the whistle went, so he has moved forward rapidly and overtaken Andree, but he's only in 3rd place, alas. Derek Nimmo still in the lead, and Derek, your turn to begin. What I do with it is the follow-up subject. So you've told us how you get some, now tell us if you can what I do with it. Just a minute, starting now.
What I do with it is the question. Well, I generally put it with gin and call it ditto and it. I put a slice of lemon on the top of it and swash it down my throat, because I do sometimes put too much of the citrus fruit in with it. Other times, when I go round, as I said I was going to after the programme tonight...
Andree Melly.
2 times there.
Yes, sometimes.
Yes, absolutely right. My goodness me, yes, right.
Andree, 40 seconds. What I do with it, starting now.
What I do with it is pretend it's not there. Sometimes in the middle of the floor, on the kitchen. I say to the rest of the family, how did it get there? Who's responsible? And nobody owns up. Not the dog, cat, children, husband, anybody. So I go about my business. I get the breakfast, cornflakes.
Derek Nimmo's challenge.
Having trouble with that cornflakes.
There are 21 seconds. What I do with it, Derek, starting now.
What I do with it, actually, is to take it with me, and when I arrive, I show it to the local populace, and they applaud me and say, we've never seen one of that size and magnitude. And they look at me with a kind of admiration that you would not believe, because...
phraseology reminds us of Kenneth Williams, then, who...
I was trying to do a Peter Jones, actually.
And Clement Freud, will you begin the next round? How I avoid it. 60 seconds, starting now.
If you don't get any, and you don't know what to do with it, you are pretty well bound to pretend that you're avoiding it. And then you have to pretend, I said pretend before.
Yes, and Andree Melly
I now
challenged.
said pretend again. Did you challenge?
Yes, I did.
What for?
Pretend.
49 seconds.
Good challenge.
It was a tough challenge.
Yes, a very sincere challenge.
Was, yes.
And also an accurate one. How I avoided, Andree, with you, 49 seconds, starting now.
Is not to say it again. Otherwise, you'll be challenged, and then you can't continue. It's extremely difficult, and I think we're all absolutely brilliant to be able to play this game at all. Not to deviate, hesitate, and in fact to avoid it.
Derek Nimmo challenged.
Yes.
Hesitation.
I have no reason at all. I withdraw my challenge. I actually made an absolute bog of it, you see, because she repeated the subject and you're allowed to do that, you see. So I'll pretend, I'll avoid it by pretending I didn't know what she was talking about, if you see what I mean.
Derek, you can't get out. It was a wrong
don't try
challenge. Andree has another point, and there are 34 seconds on how I avoid it, Andree, starting now.
When somebody says, could you possibly lend me a fiver, I pretend to go absolutely deaf. That's a very good way of avoiding it. A lovely view. Have you seen it? I say, let's go to the edge of the cliff and look down and then up. Derek Nimmo.
Clement Freud is challenged.
Hesitation.
Yes, right, Clement. 20 seconds, how I avoid it, starting now.
Falling hair is best avoided by dodging, but there are all sorts of other means of getting away from subjects with which you pretend you want no contact.
Andree Melly.
Can I have that pretend again?
Yes.
Yes.
Done it again.
I did it for you.
You can have it again.
It
And
was
you
for you.
can also have 9 seconds,
don't
which is all
want
that's
it.
left. And the subject is how I avoid it, and you start now.
The thing to do, if you want to avoid it, is not to challenge, and then you won't have it.
And Clement Freud is challenged. you.
Repetition of challenge. She was talking about winning and challenging.
Yes.
earlier
Not
on, I'm
challenging,
afraid.
no, not
Challenge.
challenge.
She said challenge.
Did you say challenge before, Andree?
I don't remember what
I
I've
don't
said
think
the minute I said...
don't think you said it before.
It was
Anyway, to
repetition,
my memory, she
hesitation,
didn't. So
actually.
we have to go by the chairman's memory, however fragile it may be.
Really? And we've been here this long?
6 seconds. How I avoided, Andree, starting now.
Jump high in the air. Then with any luck, you won't land.
Derek Nimmo's challenge.
Well, Derek Nimmo was up, and that was up, so 2 ups.
Yes, there are 2 ups. They were quite right, Derek. 4 seconds. How I avoid it, starting now.
Well, I don't often avoid it, but when I do, I find it frightfully difficult. I rather enjoy that, because...
Derek Nimmo was then speaking when the whistle went. He's got another point. He's increased his lead. He's got 13, the mystical 13 there, and to some, unlucky to others. And Andree, your turn to begin. The subject is the old-fashioned look. Can you talk on that for just a minute, starting now?
The old-fashioned look doesn't really exist anymore because as soon as it's out, it comes in again. It's kind of instant nostalgia, very difficult to keep up with. 40s last month, 50s this, and don't know what it'll be.
Derek Nimmo has challenged.
Hesitation, I thought. No? Too tough?
No, a
Withdraw.
bit too tough. I don't think she really hesitated. No, Derek. 45 seconds for you to continue with the old-fashioned look, Andree, starting now.
What I do is wear my clothes for 10 years. They're bound to be in fashion at least twice, and that gets round the whole matter. There is, of course, another kind of old-fashioned look.
Clement Freud.
Repetition of course.
Yes, a tough one, but correct. So, Clement... you
Only
take
your
us-
memory against ours, isn't it?
Which is what it must always be. 36 seconds.
She
the
hadn't
old-
actually said, of course, but I wondered how your memory was.
Like Russian roulette, isn't it, really?
All I can say is your memory must be very bad, because I heard her say it twice. And if you didn't hear her say it, then it must be an inspirational challenge. But as it was accurate, you get a point for it. And you take over the subject, and there are 36 seconds left, the old-fashioned look starting now.
When you looked at a barmaid in a particular sort of way, and she immediately dropped her décolleté dress and hiked up her socks, it used to be known as the old-fashioned look and was much appreciated in the latter part of the 19th century and a few years after that. I don't know what success was achieved because it never appears to me that ladies who serve or dispense drink behind
Peter Jones has
counters...
challenged.
Hesitation. Hesitated about 4 times. Ladies who...
He repeated ladies, but he didn't hesitate.
No.
I thought he hesitated.
No, I'm sorry. No, he didn't hesitate, Peter. So that's your challenge.
Well, I've got a
It's
pretty
incorrect.
quick brain, I suppose. It just seemed to be hesitating to me. Because I was ahead of him
You
with
were
the words.
probably there with him, and you hesitated in your mind with what he was thinking. 10 seconds, Peter. I'm sorry, Clement, on the old-fashioned look starting now.
If you walk down the King's Road, Chelsea, you will find a number of shops which actually trade in the old...
Clement Freud was then speaking when the whistle went. He has moved forward, but Derek Nimmo is still in the lead, and we must be approaching towards the end of this week's contest. And Clement, your turn to begin. The subject is making a collection. And this is the last round. You have a chance to win if you want. You're only 2 points behind. Just a minute, starting now.
The best sort of collection that I think anybody could make is one of stuffed cockatoos. Because it really isn't too difficult to corner the market. What you do is go from shop to emporium and ask the person, lady or gentleman behind the counter, whether perchance...
Andree Melly.
Hesitation.
I agree, Andree, and you have a point, and you have 37 seconds left on making a collection starting now.
The kind of collection I make, though I don't really enjoy it, is in cups that go in the fridge, holding one egg yolk, a bit of fat, stock that never seems to get used and goes all furry. Those are the kind of things. I think many women perhaps do the same. And you cannot cure yourself of that.
Derek Nimmo has challenged.
Repetition of kind collection, and kind.
Yes, and you are right, Derek, and you have 19 seconds on making a collection starting now.
I collect stuffed thrushes. And what I do is I go around from shop to emporium, looking and seeing if they've got any of these little speckled birds in the window and say, what ho, could I...
Clement Freud has challenged.
Deviation.
Why?
A thrush isn't speckled.
It is.
The thrush.
Not when
is-
it's stuffed.
Mouldy.
That's right.
It's also a protected bird, and you're not allowed to sell them in shops or emporiums. Stuffed
That
or
would
otherwise.
be deviation, but not on the speckled, because he has a lovely speckled breast. And
Not after a couple of weeks in formaldehyde.
but you can still refer to him as a speckled creature. I disagree with the challenge, which was a good try, as it's the last round, and no, Derek gets a point for an incorrect challenge, and he continues, and there are 7 seconds on making a collection, Derek, starting...
I would like to make a collection for the parson who is overpaid and overprivileged.
No, Clement Freud got in just before the whistle.
Repetition of over.
Yes, it's correct, Clement, and you have half a second on making a collection starting now.
Speckled.
Well, in spite of Clement Freud's last thrust there, speaking when the whistle went and a point just before, he again finished in second place. Andree Melly was in third place, Peter Jones just in fourth place, but once again, our winner this week by 2 clear points, Derek Nimmo. We do hope you've enjoyed this edition of Just a Minute. From all of us here, goodbye.
The chairman of Just a Minute was Nicholas Parsons. The program was devised by Ian Messiter and produced by David Hatch.